I think there's no right or wrong answer here, but
Yeah.
I think parents should help their kid.
You know, when children get to a certain age, they should go from your household and get married. Like, find that person to get married, because it's a lot easier to deal with somebody when there's two incomes versus just like they're on their own. You know, they want to kind of leave mom and dad and they want to go get that condo and be this independent person.
Having another person on you with the mortgage
Yeah.
is very, very important.
Yes.
And from a lending perspective, they want to see two people on
Yes.
an application.
Yeah. I don't think kids should pay rent, to be honest, and I'll tell you why. Okay.
I'm at the opposite end of the coin, but I respect your opinion. But should mortgage brokers get paid as much as realtors?
Hey everyone, I'm Falesha Raquel.
And I'm Mark McLaughlin.
And today we want to talk to you about your thoughts on, should parents be helping their children purchase a home? So I know you have kids, Mark.
Yep.
What is your, perception and outlook on that?
I don't got no money. I'm not buying no house for them. No,
So they should be independent?
I would like to think so. I think it's a very very touchy subject, especially nowadays, especially in Canada.
Yeah.
Just the way things are. I think kids are. It's going to be difficult for my kids to buy a home unless I leave them something.
Yes.
Right, or their mom leaves them something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just based on the prices and the rules and some of the things, I think the most important thing I try to teach my kids is, make sure their credit is good.
Yes.
Because then at least, if I need to come in with a down payment or their mom helps out or we do it together or they take it from life insurance, whatever the case may be, we can make it happen. But it is very, very difficult with the housing prices.
I know.
As you know, being an international realtor, the housing prices here are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So to buy a traditional 4-bedroom house, with 60, 70,000, that's what kids are making, if they're in a decent entry-level job, might be very, very difficult. Now, mind you, if they go to school and do other things, lawyer, doctor, whatever, then that takes time, right? So I think there's no right or wrong answer here, but I think parents should help their kids.
Yeah.
I think if you have the means, set something up so that they can purchase in the future, because I think it's going to be very difficult for them with the cost of living to save up a down payment. I know when I did, I saved up my down payment, I got my 5% together, and, houses were $300,000 then. So, what's 5% of $300,000? 15? 15,000? Okay.
Yeah.
Not a hard task, especially when we grew up.
Yeah.
But now, 5% on, a condo that's 500,000, that's 25,000.
Yeah, that's a little bit steep now.
A little bit steeper.
Right?
Now you want to go to a house, 700, 800,000.
Yeah.
If you're going to stay somewhere, regionally.
Yeah.
And that becomes what's 800,000 times 5. That's 40,000.
40,000, yeah.
And that's minimum. And then you have that perfect credit.
Yeah.
You have to qualify. And there's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah. And it's not even just that 5%. That's the 40,000. You got to consider closing costs. You got to consider, all the other things, the moving costs, those expenditures, they add up, right? Yeah. So it's more than 40,000 if you're using that number as an example, right?
And exactly what you said. That's just the down payment.
Yeah.
It's not the lawyer costs. It's not the fees. Sometimes that's charged. Land transfer tax and taxes and God knows what those are now. But to have an idea, I think parents do have to step in.
Yeah.
Again, home ownership is going to be hopefully still a thing with our kids. I'm hoping so. Because we work in the industry and we want them to buy homes and we want them to be independent.
Yeah, for sure.
But the way it's looking, I don't think it's going in the right direction, but hopefully it gets better.
Yeah, for sure.
What are your thoughts, though?
Yeah. No, well, I think, when children get to a certain age, they should go from your household and get married. Like, find that person to get married, because it's a lot easier to deal with somebody when there's two incomes versus just like they're on their own. You know, they want to kind of leave mom and dad and they want to go get that condo and be this independent person, and they're paying this hefty mortgage, and then they have, you know, all the other bills. They maybe have car payments and insurance and, you know, grocery bills. It really adds up. Yeah. So my perspective is a little bit different. Like, I really like to see children go from their household, you know, find that person and then move in with that person, get married and move in. It's a lot easier. It actually goes back to scripture. You know, the first book in the Bible, Genesis, talks actually about that. So yeah. I think that's what people should really practice versus like, let me be this independent person, or, oh, I can't stand my mom and my dad. I hear that all the time. I want just my own independence, right? Yeah. But when they get out there and real life and real world things like, you know, start to take effect, they realize that it's not easy, you know? And then it's also about when you do get that place and you have that mortgage, can you sustain it for the years to come, right? Because your interest rate will change after your term. Things change. There's inflation, right? So if you can actually just wait and just, you know, deal with your family, right? This is your family. As much as you know, they say like there can't be two queen bees in a hive, right? But you know, these are your parents. So work hard, try and find that spouse, pray on it, and then move out, and it's going to be a lot easier.
And you said something really important there. You know, having another person on you with the mortgage is very, very important. Yes. Because then you can qualify for more. And it's two incomes against one, right? Yeah. So now if someone falls on hard times or someone gets sick, at least there's someone there to balance you out and try to make it work for you, right? Exactly. I think a lot of times you're right. People are stubborn and they're like, I just want to get out of my house and, you know, this and that, and I want to be independent. But they don't realize, you know, there's not only the mortgage, there's you need internet. Yeah. There's a heating bill. There's maybe condo fees. All of that. There's, you know, the light bill. There's gas. There's this, there's that. Yeah. So plus property taxes.
Oh my goodness, don't get me started.
You know what I mean? Shout out to Olivia Chow. But you know, it's just, you know, these constant additions that are not necessarily getting cheaper either. Yeah. Right? So having two, like you said, having two people is a lot better.
A lot easier.
And better. And from a lending perspective, they want to see two people on an application. Yeah. It helps the application, strengthens the application. When you have one person, again, lenders are kind of looking at like, can this person sustain? So you got to really make a lot of money and really qualify above and beyond for them to actually take a look at you individually, right? So
no, it's super important, right? And I think it's about like, you know, I don't want to age myself, but it's one of those things where people, when I was younger, they would say, don't rush to grow up. You heard that before, right? Yeah. Don't rush to grow up. Like I remember my aunties saying that, and you know, my Lola would say that, and my titas would say that, right? But it's like one of those things that you don't really realize until you get to a certain age. And you're like, I get what they were saying. Oh my God, why was I rushing, right? Yeah. Like if you can just stay home, be nice to your family members, your mom and dad, do the things, wash the dishes, take out the garbage, like do those things, because it is so hard when you're out in the real world. Now, I actually, you know, I met my husband super early. We moved in together super early. I started my life super early, got married, right? And so I literally went from my mom's household to, you know, being with my husband. And I don't think I would have never done it any other way. I would have never, ever wanted to be out there and renting, you know, especially, you know, as a female, right, on my own. Like, I just feel like it is super tough nowadays. Now, if you are renting and, you know, whatever reason you had to leave and you're on your own, I just really would like to see more women trying to hold on if they can, right? Until you meet that person. Now, some people, obviously, they've come here for schooling. So that's different, right? They leave their country, they come here, that's different. You're on your own. But for those of you who can just stay at home as much as it's killing you right now, it's going to be a lot easier if you find, you know, that spouse and you guys move in and kind of share, the bills and the partnership. Yeah. Because,
you know, who wants to pay a mortgage by themselves?
No.
I'd rather share it too, you know? Yeah. So, but I think yes, two people, like you said. Yeah. If you can stay at home as long as you can, and then when you find that significant, that's actually a great advice because, again, I did it kind of the opposite way. I moved out.
You were one of those ones, eager.
I was a rebel and, but eventually met someone and then we shared things and things got a little easier and we were able to, sustain a lifestyle and relax a little bit. And it's fun to move out. It's invigorating. It's very what's the word I'm looking for? It's very liberating to move out. Yes,
it's liberating. Yeah.
To move out, but I'm just hoping the kids nowadays are able to buy homes in the future. And coming on to that, I mean, when they're living at home and stuff like that, there's another question I'd like to ask. Do you think kids should pay rent? Because I am under the impression that they should if they're living at home.
You think so?
What do you think?
I don't know. Like, actually, I do know. I don't think kids should pay rent, to be honest. And I'll tell you why, okay? If you start taking from your child and, making them pay rent, then you are kind of lessening the chances of them purchasing a home. Now, if you have a rebel of a child and that child just wants to party every weekend and spend their money on foolishness, okay, I get you're trying to discipline them in some way. Maybe charge them the rent, but put that in a savings for them that they have no idea of. And then all of a sudden, it gets to a certain amount and you say, okay, honey, for the past 5 years, I've been saving your down payment. Here you go. You found your husband, you found your wife. This is for you guys, right? That's different. That's probably something I would do if I was a mother. Like that would kind of be my play at it. Like, give me the $1,000 a month and I will invest it for you, right? But yeah, I don't think that, just charging your child rent for me, like that's not what I would do. But it is subjective. Some people do need like some of the help. But I mean, if you're building a union and you have your spouse, you're bringing a child into the world, right? That's your dependent. Now, if that dependent is, 18, 25, 30, your goal, I think as a parent, like just work really hard on trying to teach them and guide them and figuring it out, right? It's not like, okay, go off and go rent something or go buy something. No, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to nourish you to go and find, this spouse. Let's start your life. We don't need to wait till you're 30 to start your life. Like go and find that person and build your life. Right? So that you can build as much wealth in this amazing human form that we have. And then you can, make so much money and leave an inheritance for your children and your children's children. That's the whole point, right? Yeah.
I'm at the opposite end of the coin, but I respect your opinion. Hey, it actually makes sense. I think I look at it like this. I think kids should pay rent. And I'll tell you the reason why. I think it teaches them responsibility. I know when I was a kid in my 20s, I had to give my mom money. I did it reluctantly, but it actually prepared me for when I did leave because I knew I had to put something away. You know what I mean? And I wasn't just had all this disposable income in my late teens, early 20s. Mind you, I left home early, but I think it teaches responsibility. And I think nowadays, just having, I think people get comfortable, and I never want my son or daughter to get too comfortable because guess what? Life is uncomfortable.
It is very uncomfortable, yeah.
And it can get uncomfortable. And I feel like I'm kind of doing a microcosm of the world in my household. Okay. So if you're paying, yes, I will tuck it away for a rainy day, and if you need something or a down payment, here you go. Yeah. I got it. Yeah. But to have them live under my roof and absolutely not contribute, just do some dishes and clean the room. I don't think that there's a difference from that to when they're, 10 or 12 years old, right? Okay. So I feel like paying actually teaches them something. Discipline and consistency. And again, when I'm gone, when I'm see you later, God forbid, years from now, they'll remember that and they'll be able to adjust to the world accordingly. So that's my take on it. I totally get your take too. And again,
now, what age do you think is appropriate though?
I think if, my rule was always, you're either going to school or you're working. Okay. So if you're in school, if you're going to be a professional doctor and you're studying, you're in there, you can live in my house forever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And once you get your doctorate and you're off and you're making money, then, we'll figure it out then. Yeah. But if you are not working, not in school, and you're working, then you have income coming in that, yes, we're going to have an arrangement that you pay X amount per month. So it's either one or the other, but you're not going to sleep.
Oh, that's fair.
You're not going to sleep in the house and
without contributing.
Get booted out quicker than he came in.
Yeah.
But I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's important, and again, very controversial topic, but I think the rent is necessary to teach
A lesson.
Teach kids.
Yeah.
Yes, teach
Yeah.
kids, especially nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Especially nowadays where a lot of kids don't pay rent, right? And maybe they should. Maybe there should be some law that if you live, this will be controversial, but if you're 25 years old or older, you're
going to lobby this bill, Mark?
This bill. Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Oh, goodness.
But you never know. But I know my son contributes to his mom's household, which I'm very proud of him for.
Nice.
And he does it on a consistent basis, and he'll continue to do it. And my youngest son will, and my daughter's a little different, so she'll figure it out. But we'll have that conversation.
So that's the princess.
I'm trying to make her a lawyer. So
okay.
So hopefully she'll be a lawyer.
Yeah.
She'll take care of me when I'm.
When you're older. No, I think like my perception on it, for me at an early age, I bought my very first brand new car at the age of 18 years old. I was paying $550 a month for the car payment and $500 a month for the insurance. It was hella crazy. Okay. I was still in school and I was working 2 part-time jobs. It was insane, right? Yeah. So I did have the responsibility. I would contribute to groceries and stuff like that. But my mom never charged me rent. And I grew up in a single household. There was no mom and dad that were helping out, right? But I feel like life was really great to me at that stage of my life because I learned the discipline of having to pay that car payment every single month, having to pay the insurance. I had a cell phone bill, I think it was like a Nokia then. It was like super cheap, but expensive at the same time back then for me. It was just the responsibility, right? Like I had gym memberships. I did have my fair share of expenditures being young. But I never was charged rent, but I learned the importance of making sure that I paid my stuff on time.
And I think that's where it's different. You learned, you didn't learn in the household, but you learned outside the household.
In real life, yeah.
And by making your car payments. And I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
So, if you're not going to necessarily pay rent, maybe you have a car and this and that, and you're going to take care of the insurance and stuff like that. As long as I see you paying for something.
Discipline.
Yeah. And you're not missing payments. Because if I'm keeping a roof over your head, I shouldn't have to help you with your car payment. Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
what my mom did help me do though is she co-signed for me. So shout out to my mom. Thanks. You got me started, Mom. But it really gave me a sense of, like, I need to make sure that I hold this responsibility because I was so young. I was 18 years old. And I ended up signing, imagine this, full disclosure, it was a total ripoff. It was one of those deals where they say like $99 down, $99 for 6 months. Those, know those? It was 17% of an interest rate. And because I was still young, my credit wasn't like really developed yet. They said, okay, your mom needs to co-sign. So she did. My mom would do anything for me. God bless her, right?
Shout out, Tita.
Shout out to my mom. So she signed on the dotted line and she got me that car. And it was like this beautiful, amazing car in my eyes, even though my friend said it was a senior's car. It was like an '05 Chevy Malibu Max champagne color. It's a cute car, but as an 18-year-old, like you'd want me, they're like, Falesha, if you're paying $50,000 for it, go get a Beamer or a Mercedes, right?
But you were probably one of the only ones driving around.
Exactly.
So they were,
like lunches with me at like Spare and like, lunchtime, like my friends wanted to hang out, right?
Fair enough.
But paying that hefty bill really taught me. And I would literally make sure that I didn't want to miss a payment because I was so fearful that they were going to ruin my mom's credit. Because signing on as a guarantor, know that that's going to affect that person. So I always had that in my mind. And so my term was 7 years, right? And when I calculated, I was like, oh my God, 7 years from 18 years old, I'm going to be like 25. But she retired. When I expanded one of my companies to the States, I drove her down to Florida and sold it for a whopping $700 US from $50,000, guys, a 17% interest rate. That car her name was Carmen. And Carmen got to live that Canadian dream or American dream, sunny state of Florida. That's where she retired.
Carmen was
the car. That was her name, wow, Carmen. So I name all my cars.
Okay, mine was Betsy.
Betsy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing. My mom made it up, but she's like, she looks like a Betsy.
A Betsy. Aw, yeah. That was Carmen. So Carmen got to live that dream, and I felt like a sense of pride because I finished paying it off. I completed that thing, and in that phase of my life, I was able to, find my husband and I met. We got married. We, got our house. Like everything was great, right? But it's the responsibility.
Where do you think Carmen is now?
Carmen is probably, I really hope she's still alive. I'm not sure. I sold her to a business owner in Fort Lauderdale. Actually, it was Hollywood. It wasn't Fort Lauderdale. It was Hollywood because I moved from Fort Lauderdale. I moved around in Florida.
Nice.
But yeah, I sold her to a business owner who was an owner of a Moroccan shop.
Okay,
Yeah, he
nice.
used to own a Moroccan place, and a lot of my belly dancers, when I had my dance company, shout out Diva Diverse, used to perform there. And he's like, I love this car, I want it.
Nice.
And so I was like, sure, take it. I'm flying back to Canada, $700 US.
That's
Crazy,
awesome.
right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Exchange rate was probably pretty good then too.
It was, yeah. It was.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But you know, that being said, I think you know, at the end of the day, you had a car. It's not always the glitz and glamour that you see on social media and all of this. I mean, what you know, the caveat is that you had a car.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids your age did not have a car. And
a new car at 18 years old, mind you.
Car, 18 years old. And I think nowadays, you know, especially with social media, and we can kind of delve into it, there's this comparison bug that, you know, kids have and even as some adults, right? Comparing themselves to different things. And, you know, I'm new to social media. So, you know, I've had like some basic like LinkedIn stuff, which is business stuff. I don't really necessarily go on it. I just got accustomed to Instagram over the last few months. So,
which you're doing very well on.
Thank you.
I've been following you.
I'm trying.
It's going well.
I'm trying. It's not, you know, we're working on it, but my team's helping me. But at the end of the day, I think that the comparison is sometimes which is what. How do I articulate this? I try not to look at social media because I find comparison is a thief of joy. And I like to stay in my little bubble. Yeah. I don't really necessarily care what anyone else is doing. Yeah. Except for my close friends and family, right? Yeah. And social media kind of counterintuits that because if you look at every mortgage broker on or every realtor on social media, it looks like their life is fabulous, you know? And again, if we put highlights of all of our lives, I'm sure your life would look absolutely fabulous. It'd be lifestyles of the rich and famous. But I'm trying not to go on social media as much, and because the comparisons are a real thing. And I think kids are going through it where they're looking at kids their age and they may be faking the page, or maybe
it's a facade.
It's a facade sometimes, but it causes issues and self-esteem issues. I think. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but
I agree with you.
I'd like to hear your opinion just on social media in general, the comparison bug that everyone's going through right now. Yeah.
You know, it just goes back to, you know, I've said in previous episodes that there is no such thing as competition, right? And when you can get to that place of peace and understanding who you are and what your gifts are, there's nothing and no one that you can compare yourself to because there's just nobody in your league. There's nobody that has the same recipe and makeup of you. There's nobody that's gone through the trials and tribulations that you've gone through. There's no one that perceives life the way you do because of the chapters of your life, right? So for me, I think it's just someone getting to that place of peace where they can look at somebody and actually be happy for their successes instead of looking at them with an envy eye, you know? And it takes a lot of time to get there. Like when I was in my 20s, yeah, sure, that was me, right? Like I'm looking at other, you know, talent agencies doing what they're doing. How can I be better? How can I make my company better? You know, where they're performing, where they're not, like, you know, but I, because I'm a very competitive person, like I kind of took that and I made that fuel me. Right? It was kind of the fuel to my fire. I expanded tremendously. I was in the States. I ended up getting flown to Dubai. I was, you know, performing here, there, and everywhere because I let that actually work to my benefit, right? So it depends on how you take it.
So you use it as, you use the social media aspect as fuel to power you to get through everything. That's good. I mean, I think a lot of people can do that. Yeah. I think, but I think a lot of people can't. No. Like they'll look at something and be like, oh, why did I
comparison, and they go through depression and like, I get that.
Phases that, you know, of something that's not necessarily real.
Yeah, it's not real at all. But I think, again, you need to just figure out what your purpose is and ask yourself this question, right? Are you here for purpose or popularity? What are you here for? Right? Because there's so many people out there right now that they look like they're doing the most, but are they really making money?
Yeah.
Right. And that's like the thing. I took a hiatus off of Instagram for a long time because I went from posting for 4 years. I was posting 4 times a day across 7 platforms. It was crazy. Right?
That's
and
nuts.
it is nuts. Don't look at me like that.
I know you're a little.
You gave me side eye just so you guys know.
I know. But the thing is, I know you're very motivated and very determined. But it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Like you wanted to push.
I wanted to push, right?
So it wasn't a slight. It was just like, wow,
you gotta give me a side eye, like, oh my God.
That's a lot.
For those who caught it, rewind this back and go see the look you gave me. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Oh gosh,
it was
a lot.
But that's good. I mean, you built up your profile. Obviously, you have a ton of followers, and you built a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
But I think you're one of the rare ones who's used it as fuel.
I used it as fuel, and I just literally was like, okay, this is healthy competition. Like they don't know, but I know, and I'm gonna get them raw. And I went hard at like just really developing my craft and perfecting it. And thank God I did, because I wouldn't be the businesswoman that I am today if I didn't take that and use it as the fuel, right?
Yeah,
and today, now, like honestly, I don't really look at social media like that. Like again, like you, I'll go and I'll support like our coaching students. I'll go and support some of the amazing like forces that I like to follow and things like that. But I went through a season. I literally stopped following everybody. I went down to 0. I wasn't even following my mom, and then I started again. I started with my husband, then my mom, then my titas, right? But I just needed a clean slate, and I didn't want the distraction.
Yeah. So you just kind of restarted.
I went through a whole rebirth, and it was like the best thing I could have done mentally for me.
Yeah,
right?
Because it's a lot. I mean, and you're connecting with people like all over the world. And mind you, there's great opportunities. But, out of all those, people, there's probably only, 1% that you can actually do tangible business with, right? Which then sometimes makes you, you get visualization and you get to be known. But there's a flip side to it too. A lot of distraction, a lot of comparison.
There is.
And I'm learning it right now. I'm learning it.
Well, welcome to the world of social media.
I'm going through the process, and I can see why people, have issues with going on in comparison.
Yeah. So. But I think, you know what, at the end of the day, you need to learn how to use social media to your advantage for your business, right? If you can look at it from that lens of using it for your business and having it really help you versus like you're comparing yourself to them. Oh, wow, she's prettier than me, or he's more handsome than me, or they're more successful than me, or they have a nice car or a bigger house. Like, don't do it from that lens, right? Figure out what you truly want out of your life, and maybe follow a few people that really inspire you, right? Who inspires you? Who do you want to learn from, right? Who's done it and you want to do it that way. But if you start looking at it from a lens of envy, you're going to definitely spiral into depression, anxiety, all the things that God has not ordained for your life. So just remember that and, keep it moving.
And use it as a tool, right? Like you said, if you take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and then put your own sauce on it, and now you can, have your own style and thing. And again, social media, most of it's free, right?
Yeah.
So it's free advertising. So I get it from that standpoint. But again, I think I'll go through. I'm moving with caution.
Yes,
I'm moving with caution.
You should be.
But I like the idea. It's actually giving me some great exposure. Even some events we've done together, it's great to post them and show people what we're doing, because then people get interest, right?
Yeah.
People get interest. They want to join. They want to be part of what we're doing, and I can see that as a thing. And as far as another topic I kind of wanted to touch base on, this one is controversial, guys. This one's controversial. Realtors, mortgage brokers. This one is going to be talked about. I know we're going to get a lot of comments on this.
Be nice in the comments, okay?
Nice in the comments. But the question is, should...
See, he's choking already. You're choking already.
I don't want to say because maybe...
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe, I don't want Falesha to come and hit me upside my head or anything. But should...
I am not violent, full disclosure.
Not violence. No violence. But should mortgage brokers get paid as much as realtors? It's a question... controversial question. I mean, we know that we need you, right? Because you obviously, you show the properties. You guys are doing open houses. You're doing staging. There's a lot of costs that goes.
Likewise, we need you guys too to get the money.
and vice versa.
Put the
right?
deal together,
right,
yeah.
Right? And you don't get paid until unless we get the money, and we don't get paid until you sign till your client signs on the dotted line. So, what is your thoughts of that? Because obviously I'm on the other side, but I know how a mortgage broker gets paid. Maybe you can delve into how a realtor gets paid and what a transaction looks like for a realtor. Just from a very general standpoint, how they get paid, and then I'll tell you how a mortgage broker gets paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wait, it seems like you're agreeing that a mortgage broker may be able to make a little bit more money than a realtor. Is that where you're at mentally?
No,
with it?
I think it should be equal.
You think it should be equal?
I think it should be equal.
Interesting.
I think it should be equal, but
okay.
I respect the craft, and I get it. But I think we should have the conversation on what you get paid, and then I'll tell you what we get paid. Let's do that then, folks. And let's compare apples.
Roll up my
apples,
sleeves.
right?
I'm joking.
Yeah.
So listen, folks. I honestly believe that realtors should still get paid more than mortgage brokers, and I will tell you why. Being in this industry for many years, it depends on the value that you bring to the marketplace in your industry. So let's start off with somebody wanting they're purchasing, because that's the reason why we need a mortgage broker, right? Because if you're selling, you don't need a mortgage broker because you're offloading. So this is for buyers. Now, a buyer calls my office, I'm just giving you an example, and they say, hey, I want to, get pre-approved for a home. I want to, go shopping. We end up signing a whole bunch of paperwork. It's very lengthy. The documents are no joke, right? We need to make sure you're protected. We need to make sure we start setting you up on MLS. Now, it's not like the way I operate my business. I don't just put you on MLS and then just hope for the best. I literally have you on different platforms. I have some exclusive deals, so I'm going to show you them. My agents are going to take you out on the road. You're going to see a bunch of properties, spending up gas. Gas is no joke right now. It is a serious thing. When I started my career, I was showing people all these houses and they didn't buy. And I would be wasting all this time, right? So number one, you're taking them out, you're setting them up, you're doing all the documentation. And then after that, if you are a full service company like myself, we do have our lawyers in-house. We do bring in our associates, just like yourself, who do the mortgages. We have everything covered, right? And then we also have overhead. We have platforms and things that we need to use to make the experience for the buyer a good experience, right? So, the buyers, they don't pay us, just so you guys know, full disclosure. We don't get paid by the buyer. We get paid when they purchase. So it comes off of the seller's, what the seller actually will pay, right? And that's typically about 5%. Okay, not getting too technical, but you have it on each side, right? You get that, right? So with the amount of gas, time, energy, there's also buyer remorse. Let's not even get into that. People will buy and then they change their mind, and you're trying to, talk them off the edge, we're persuading them to make this decision. Now, don't get it twisted with that word persuasion. Persuasion really means that somebody has already decided they want to do it, and you're literally just justifying and saying, hey, this is something that you wanted. Remember, you wanted to do this, and you're just getting them to the finish line. That's it, right? So I think we're totally worth the 2.5%.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think the process is long. I've known a few realtors in my days, and yes, there's a lot of things that come into play.
Yes.
So transaction, you should get paid. 5%. I think that's fair. Now,
the late night phone calls, first time home buyers, stress. We are psychologists as well. We should have that stamped on our certificates and our diplomas, and you know what I mean? It's a lot of work.
And so I'm going to tell you from the mortgage broker perspective.
Tell me, Mark.
We're therapists as well. We're therapists as well. So a typical transaction, we're introduced to the client through whatever means. We have initial consultation, just what their needs are, what their financial situation is. There's an email sent of some documents we need so that we can get them pre-approved or approved for their mortgage that they're getting. And then we then create the application. We send it out to several lenders. There's a ton of back and forth with lenders because lenders have questions. Why did they pay the Rogers bill late? Why this? Why that? Where's the money coming from? So there's constant back and forth. Sometimes that can take weeks on average. Now, when we get the mortgage approved, that's the fun part. We then go to the client and say, hey, we have an approval, this and that. well, I don't like the rate, or sometimes there's rebuttals. So, and sometimes people are extremely happy that they just even got a mortgage, right? So at that point, it can sway either way, right? So we have to persuade them, just as you guys too, to say, hey, this is what we've done. We've done our due diligence based on your financial situation. This is what we have for you. And I try to get, 1 or 2 approvals, even though lenders probably won't like hearing that. I like to get a couple. Because,
do you have a backup?
Yeah, because psychologically, I think people want choice, right? Okay. So I always try to give them a couple of choices if I can. If we only have one choice, we have one choice. That's it. But if I can get them 2, then they can compare apples to apples and say, hey, you know what? This is what, you can have Scotia or you can have TD. What, what do you prefer? Well, I bank with TD. I'd rather, okay, there you go. Because if I got them Scotia, well, I don't bank with Scotia. So, and then after the transaction is done, and we close, we collect documentation, we get it to the finish line. We typically, once the deal closes, we typically get paid about 2-3 weeks after by the bank directly. Sometimes there's small admin fees involved and so on and so forth. But we get paid typically 1% of whatever the transaction is. So if the mortgage is, let's say, $500,000, typically we would get paid, somewhere between 0.8 and 1%. So anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 on a $500,000.
But you typically don't have to leave your office to do this, or do you have to leave your office to do a transaction?
Wow, that is a great point. So there's times, sometimes we have to leave.
And go where?
And sometimes we have to go to clients' houses. I know what she's trying to do here, guys. I know what she's trying to do. But I actually, this is fun. This is a fun conversation. So yes, no, typically we don't. We typically don't leave the office.
So you mitigate the risk of parking tickets, parking downtown Toronto when you're showing condos. You mitigate the risk of your car getting towed if you didn't pay. You mitigate the risk of sore feet if you're a woman wearing high heels. You mitigate the risk of frustration because parking level P1 with all the millions of lock boxes when you're searching for that one key and the other realtor wasn't looking out for your best interest and didn't put a red ribbon on it. The frustration of that. You mitigate the risk of having to go to security and going through, oh my God, the gruesome winters. Let's not talk about the snowbanks. Let's not talk about the sweat. You're a sweater. I'm a sweater. Us going through it's crazy. Now, he's sweating already. So is that 2.5% really good for you get where I'm going with it, right? It's crazy.
I get where you're going with it. And again, a transaction, total, 5%. So on a 5%, $500,000 property, that'd be $25,000. So compared to $5,000, let's just do the math. Let's just do the math there. See. You named a lot of things. 25,000 and 5,000. I don't know. I think the gap should maybe narrow a little bit. Because obviously you go through a lot, there's a snow
3-month waiting period to get that paycheck,
and a lot of snow, a lot of parking tickets. But I don't think it equates to quite
an extra 20,000.
An extra 20,000 in my eyes. But I love you, realtors. By the way, don't take this the wrong way.
And our licensing fees with our, our compliance. Oh my goodness, they're hefty.
That's
right. All of the stuff that we pay and we love, we love, who are governing bodies and shout them out. But it's expensive being a realtor. If you think you're going to come into this business fresh out of school and start making 6 figures your first year, come knock on my door, okay? I would love to meet you, right? But it's, being a realtor, having that license, the schooling, it's crazy.
Your carrying costs are
much higher, significant.
So, because as a mortgage broker or mortgage brokerage, you're probably looking at a couple thousand to $2,500 a year, depending on the brokerage you're working for, right? So your carrying costs, I know, are much more. So you're right in that sense. So we'll agree to disagree, but I think the gap should narrow. Hopefully one day I can dream a little. I can, it was all a dream, but hopefully it'll narrow the gap. And I think I really respect what you do. I've seen you in action. You're absolutely amazing with your clients and stuff like that. So you deserve every last penny, every last cent.
I want to leave you with this, though. I need you to understand something.
What's up?
Doing international real estate has really changed my perception because, I have folks in Florida, amazing. I have 2 realtors, agents out there. I have some, colleagues in Michigan, some in Texas. Now, you need to understand also, Mark, that as a woman in this business, as a man as well, doing showings are very, very, very risky. There's, in the carrying states, a lot of my agents and a lot of my colleagues actually carry their guns because they have been at risk before from, buyers that they don't know, even though they ID them and all of that. You don't know. Like when you're a woman, attractive woman, showing these houses with these men and some weirdos, like I know some realtors can attest to having some really weird, strange clients. You're showing them, 5 houses today and you're spending a whole Saturday afternoon with them.
Absolutely.
You're in this house and, like you go into one of the rooms. Like I've heard of some crazy stories. So for me, it's also about the risk. I feel like it is worth it to pay us that because you are at risk, right? Yes. Now, a little nugget I want to give you realtors out there who are feeling weird about some of their clients. This is a tip that you can take. This is what I practice and I teach my realtors to do the same thing. If you get a bad vibe, make sure that you just stay at the front door. Say, go and see the house. Let me know you like it. I'll be right here. Any questions, concerns, just feel free to come to me and ask me the questions and I'll be right here. Right? You don't need to really follow them in the house, right? Mitigate that risk of something weird happening if you don't know the person. If it's a friend and family member, that's fine. You guys can, kiki and do all the things. But for somebody who you don't know, definitely make sure that you're aware of that and you're protecting yourself.
And that's a great tip too, because I've heard some horror stories too over the years. So some weird people, and especially nowadays, you just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
And from the mortgage side, it just there's a lot of fraud going on.
Yes.
So a lot of fraud going on, and we have to mitigate that by doing our due diligence, collecting documentation, sometimes even Zooming the people to make sure it actually matches, right? Because some of the fraud documents have gotten so good that you can't even tell, right? And we put our license at risk sometimes with providing documents that may be fake in some senses, right? Now, luckily, I haven't had any incident. There's been a few incidents where people tried, but we caught it before we sent it in. So, but it's a scary world out there, and that tip is great. Would you bring? I've seen it before where sometimes people bring another colleague with them or another some sort of partner to help mitigate anything happening? Does that happen sometimes?
I think, to be honest, like just from a convenience standpoint, sometimes you can't really do that all the time. I mean, if there's that one client that you're weary about, I would make sure I just register them, make sure you take their driver's license, you ID them, you let other colleagues know, I'm going out for showings with so-and-so, we're going to be looking at these properties. Once you book a showing, they know that you're in the system, they can tell, right? So it is kind of tracked like that.
And they'll usually call and follow up and make, what I mean? So there's some sort of... I guess
connection
there.
Exactly. But ID your clients, right? But it's not always the fact that you're going to have somebody, coming with you. If you have an assistant, I know when I was at the pinnacle of my career, I was able to bring my assistant with me and she'd be the one responsible, do the things I didn't want to do, like go open the lockbox or find it. And I would be kind of, chatting with the clients and doing my thing. So if you are in that position and you have an assistant that is spending the day with you and can go, bring them for sure. It's better, right? And then you can all conversate on, the properties and, get them to that finish line, right? But
so I think, long and short of it, guys, I think Falesha wins. I think realtors
Thank you.
are a little bit more at risk. I would like to see the mortgage and lenders, pay better. Hopefully that
maybe it can go up, even bring it up 1%.
Bring it up. Hey, I'd be good with 0.5%.
Right,
but, even just because we do deal with a lot day to day. And again, there's no obligation. I know some brokerages that are taking retainers and stuff like that. I'm not into that business. But, I understand it. But realtors 1, mortgage brokers 0. So
no, and I think what's great is if you can form a really good relationship with the other side, whether you're a realtor and you form with a mortgage broker or vice versa, you guys work things out. Like there are things called referrals, which can be fully transparent and disclosed, and our governing bodies allow it as long as you just disclose it and they know what's happening. So I think that's the love. right? When you have that, collaboration, you can do that with your associates. And I think when you are working together in that capacity, like it's dandy, it's great. But it is going to take you some time to get there, right? I'm sure, like you guys watching this, if you haven't had a good relationship yet, I've had some really awful relationships with past mortgage brokers and some lawyers and things like that. So you can watch it on the other episodes. But when you get to that place, you can find someone who aligns with your brand, your core values. It's a great run, but you got to search, and find that person. And when you do, lock it in. That's it. Definitely lock it in.
And like Falesha said, have the conversations, connect. Make sure you have like-minded people. And if there's a referral fee to give or something that you guys can work out behind the scenes, then work it out. Yeah. Because then it helps everyone push the envelope along for the best interest of the client.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And to close the deal, right? And help them out, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's how it is. But no, thank you for another episode, guys. Remember to subscribe and we
hope you got value. Definitely. I hope that, all of you guys watching right now, help us grow this channel, help us grow this community, because, Mark and I, we are spending this time just pouring into you guys and sharing our thoughts, our ideas, our experiences, the hardship, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things in between. So be nice in the comments, drop us some of your thoughts on some of the controversial topics that we spoke about, and make sure you like that button and you share this out to your friends and family.
Well said.
We'll look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao.